Miss Meenakshi. Ready for 23 questions?
I am. Come on in. Have a seat.
So, what led you to pursue a career in student counseling and guidance?
You know, this was a happy accident. I was into aviation until 2011, and there came a point that I did not know what I wanted to do in my life. So I just walked into one of the schools and looked for an opportunity. So I grabbed whatever came my way.
Yeah.
Started off as an administrator, but then later on pivoted to career counseling, which I love.
Yeah, awesome. And how would you define your role within the school community?
It's very satisfying, very gratifying. At the end of the day, I don't treat my role as a job. I just treat it something very, very pure and something that really is there to bring about some change.
Yeah, I love that. And what do you find most meaningful about working with students at this stage in their lives?
You know, to be able to contribute whatever little I can through the guidance and advising that I provide through counseling sessions, whether it's in a group setting or one-on-one, I feel that I'm in such a fortunate position to be able to contribute towards their biggest decision of their life, at least in their teens.
And what's a common challenge students face when thinking about their future paths and careers?
Not knowing, sometimes uncertainty can be really taxing on them. That can bring a lot of anxiety. So I think constant talking, constant counseling sessions brings about a lot of clarity of thoughts.
Right.
And of course there are many technical ways of also going about sorting this issue out, but more to do with the more we talk, the more I get to know them in person, and then the more individualized advising takes place in the process.
So, taking note of that, how do you support students who feel uncertain about their career interests?
Absolutely. So like I said, you know, constant talking, the more I get to know them in person, the more advice I can give them. I can direct them to certain resources. I can ask them to do more research. I can brainstorm ideas with them. I can start focusing on their strength areas after I have known them more in person.
So, in your opinion, what are the key ingredients of a fulfilling career?
One has to be passionate about what they do. I think passion element is really, really important. And of course, nothing can be achieved if we don't put in our hard work, heart and soul into it. So I think passion.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. So what advice do you give often most to students choosing their subjects?
First and foremost, there are two things that I really want students to be focusing on. One, to never let go of their strength areas, always cling on to that. And of course, what interests them the most. And thirdly, which again can be a little bit more technical, what is required at the university level. So it has to be a culmination of everything put together.
Right. So how do you help students find a balance between their strengths, passions, and also practicality?
You know, one cannot really reach to a conclusion without having done proper research. So I always encourage students to do as much research as possible, and not just externally, but also a lot of introspection. So if you talk to yourself, if you start putting focus in identifying your own strengths, your own passions, your own interests, is what is helps. It's like a great mix to reach out to your goal.
Yeah. So what's one thing students often overlook when planning for university or work life?
You know, it's a very tricky question, but also a very important question. Every student will have to factor in certain points that are really necessarily important to them. So I generally create sort of a template for them that prompts them to look at certain factors that generally they would tend to overlook. One could be the safety bit of it. Of course, one could also be if we would focus on academics. So it has to be popularity of the program, not the popularity of the university.
Yeah.
And also students tend to give a lot of importance to university rankings, which I think is not necessarily the right way to look out for universities.
Yeah, I love your perception on that. So how do you ensure your guidance reflects the evolving world of work?
You know, never stop learning. Always be up to date of whatever is happening out in the outside world, especially AI right now is ever evolving. Right now, I believe I put myself in situations that allow me to learn, allow me to evolve, allow me to grow. So I would like to advise that the same thing to my students as well.
So how do you approach career counseling in a way that respects individual values as well as their aspirations?
Wonderful question. To be honest, having worked with so many nationalities in the recent past, my current graduating cohort consists of 25 nationalities. So
Wow.
one has to be very, very prudent of the culture that they come from. And everything has to be individual, everything has to be student centric. So the more conversations that I have with students, it just helps me do
Yeah.
better in my job.
So what's one conversation with a student that's always stayed with you?
More to do with career counseling. I would say that it's less to do with career counseling, more to do with knowing them in person, having an opportunity to know them as people, as
Yeah.
individuals. That is the best thing that will always stay with me. You know, those sessions where students end up crying, talking about their vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
anxiety, and the whole
Mhm.
nervousness in the process of college applications can get very taxing sometimes. So just giving them a shoulder and just being a listener is something
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
really helps.
So what skills do you believe are the most important for students to develop before graduating?
Leadership qualities, I wouldn't say necessarily, I wouldn't pinpoint one particular skill, because every skill would lead you to learning something new. Every skill that you attain during the process of your school journey has to be transferable, has to be applied in a real life scenario as well. So I would say leadership qualities, whether it's confidence, communication, collaboration, teamwork, everything.
What advice would you give to a student facing pressure from family regarding their career choices?
Well, that's a tough one. Like I said, it's not something that happens overnight. There are perceptions. We have to deal with them respectfully. We have to also understand how to strike a balance between what parents are looking for achieving, you know, in the whole
Right.
gamut of things, and also what student is planning to achieve, what their own personal goals are. So sometimes these conversations can be really hard, but sometimes we just end up reaching a consensus and just striking that balance.
Yeah. And I love your classroom. I feel like we should move around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
so
my
nice.
goals are really interesting.
Yeah, I love all the motivational quotes you have on it. It's definitely
Thank you.
encouraging.
Yeah, a lot of thought has gone behind creating these goals for students, so just to help them prompt
Yeah.
think about their future.
So what's a resource you often recommend to help students explore opportunities?
Like, you know, every individual students require different resources. So research skills is something that we have to build. Even right now, the time that I'm not with students, I'm researching. I'm trying to build an information ecosystem so I can share with students.
Yeah.
But it's also really helpful for them to venture into various resources that are out there. Everything is available on the internet. They just need direction.
Yeah. So what role do you think internships or volunteering play in career discovery?
Well, I think, you know, experiential learning is extremely important. And these days universities are looking for students who have, you know, done something over and above than only contributing to their classroom. So they are looking for people who have had that hands-on experience. So I would
Yeah.
say that really builds character, and that also is an opportunity for students to, you know, transfer their classroom learning into real life scenarios. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if there is one, what's one misconception about career counseling that you'd like to clarify?
that misconception that we are there to just help students fill up their application forms. Oh, believe me, there's so much more to it.
Yeah. And how do you help students prepare for interviews or real-world experiences?
Great question. So I'm in the process of building mock team over here, which will help students prepare for actual interviews. And there
Wow.
are so many interview videos, online tutorials that I introduce students to, so that just to help them prepare. And there are also many suggestions that are psychologically proven to build that confidence, so they're able to, present themselves confidently and more informed on
Yeah.
any interviews going forward. So yeah, it's a constant work.
And is there a particular career field you believe students should explore more?
No, well, I would say that don't lose touch with what your passion is, but at the same time, do not be under an impression that world is not evolving, world is really changing fast. So the more in touch we are with the futuristic careers
Yeah.
such as artificial intelligence in every stream, be it STEM or non-STEM careers. So I think AI is something that we need to be in touch
Absolutely.
with.
Yeah. What's one quality you've noticed in students who thrive after graduation?
I would say students who are independent learners, who take ownership of their own learning, are more likely to succeed at a university, because university is not about spoon feeding. It's not about teaching and bringing you to the classroom. It's all about you taking ownership of your own learning, you showing
Yeah.
up, and you taking charge of your own future.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. How do you support students who are navigating big transitions or uncertainty?
Well, lots and lots and lots of counseling. Lots of personal conversations that will help put them at ease, that will help them, not prevent them from second guessing themselves.
Yeah. And what do you enjoy most about being part of the school support team?
Having interaction with students such as you, I think that keeps me going on a day-to-day basis. That's the fuel to my soul. So
I
that's
love
what keeps
that.
me going.
Now we've made it to question 23. So what's one message you hope every student takes with them into the future?
Well, never be afraid to fail. Failing means that you have attempted, you have been brave enough to make an attempt at something really new, to be out of your comfort zone. So just never be afraid to fail, and it'll also help you taste the success in a much
Wow.
better way.
I love that. Thank you so much, Miss Meenakshi, for 23 questions.